How can you know all of this, yet we the masses have no idea what you're talking about?
Well, I have specialized in the last 20 years, Alex, in helping people make certain changes, because I don't have all the answers. Crikey, I mean, you know, I have as many problems as everybody else. Problems are how you learn and grow. But I've made my life about several things. I'm an entertainer, but in parallel to that, and in fact, well, most of my time is spent running my self-improvement training company, which is probably the largest self-improvement training company in this country now. And, you know, I write books and make DVDs. And yes, it is a commercial venture for me, but it's also what I feel passionate about. You know, some of my friends are, you know, passionate about, you know, something else, and they make their life about that, you know, and we talk about this. It's funny, you know, I just can't seem to get excited about computers, whereas, you know, a lot of my friends are so excited by the new operating software, or, you know, how many RAM is in their computer. It just depends what you're driven by. You know, other friends of mine love horses. I think they're beautiful, they're fantastic, but, you know, they want to get to the stable and go riding and everything and all of that. So just my passion is people. And I particularly like working with people and helping them make changes. And what has happened in the last sort of 20, 30 years, in the same way that there's been terrific advances in, say, computer technology and telecommunications, there has also been in psychological techniques. I mean, once upon a time, a telephone was the size of a briefcase, and it was a mobile telephone, yeah? And it was very expensive, and it didn't do a lot of stuff, right? Now, everybody's got a cellular telephone. It's the size of a bar of chocolate, and you can send video pictures on. It's amazing. Now, in the same way, it used to take us 6 months to remove a phobia, but now just about every single phobia in the world can be removed in less than an hour. But there aren't enough people who know how to do it yet. I'm training lots of people, but you know, that's what we're actually up against. So the technology exists for everyone to be cured of their phobias right now. Also, you have a lot of nonsense to get through, right? Like, for example, recently the government gave millions of pounds to these white coats to go and research why people have phobias. I don't think we need to know why. What difference is that going to make? If you'd given me that 10 million pounds, I could have gone and cured every phobia in this country. So, you know, one of the reasons that a lot of people don't know about the techniques that I'm using is because there is a bit of resistance to it, because the system up until now worked in a particular way. For years, everyone was hung up on this thing called psychoanalysis, which frankly is rubbish and doesn't work. And, you know, it was invented by that pervert Sigmund Freud, you know, who was off his head most of the time, coming up with these bonkers theories, you know, about us wanting to sleep with our own mothers. Now, I take a much more pragmatic, modern view of psychological change. I don't think we need to take somebody who feels very upset and keep asking them to recall all the big traumas of their life over and over again. That's like taking someone with a broken leg and throwing them down the stairs until they feel better. I think that people work kind of mechanically, and so I'm interested in the process that they go through in their brain and in their body when they're doing something highly functional or dysfunctional.
Okay, just to ask a question there then, do you think we're all wired the same? In your research, have you found that if you press the right buttons on everybody, you'll get the same reaction?
Not entirely. No, we are unique, all of us, but we all have the same fundamental structure in that we all have share the same neurology as human beings and physiology, you know, apart from, like, you know, so there are some genetic differences. But yeah, sure, we're all going to be different in our personalities and our beliefs and in our unique skills and talents, but we essentially all have the same kind of body and brain, so, and the same way of operating the software inside our mind. And really, that's what I'm like. I'm like a computer programmer. So if somebody's overweight, or they want to quit smoking and they can't do, or, you know, they've got panic attacks or insomnia, or they suffer from stress, they're not bad, wrong, broken. They've just got faulty programming, and I overwrite the operating software of their brain so that they become more functional. That's why I'm able to get these astounding success rates with helping people lose weight and so on, is because I'm not trying to analyze why it is that they're overweight. What I'm doing is I'm looking at how it is that they've created that pattern, and I go and change it. I spoil the old pattern and install a new pattern. That's all it is.
I've seen you on so many TV shows get people, for example, who can't stand snakes or tarantulas, and they won't even come within 100 feet of them. The next minute, within an hour, you come back and they're happy to hold them. Yeah. Now, have you just put them in some kind of trance? Is this just a momentary thing that they're able to do that, or is this for the rest of their lives?
Well, in most cases, it will be for the rest of their lives. You see, we're only born hardwired with two fears, which is the fear of sudden loud noises or the fear of falling. All the other fears are learned. Therefore, they can be unlearned. I'll give you an example of how phobias are learned. The most common fear and phobia in the Western world right now is the fear of public speaking. And the way that we all get that nicely installed is at school. Stand up, read in front of the class, and I'll point out every mistake you make in front of everyone else so you can feel worthless again and again and again. And so inadvertently, many well-intentioned teachers are actually making us scared to speak in public. You know, you don't feel scared speaking in front of your friends because you know they're not going to harshly negatively judge you. You know, they're going to laugh or support you or, you know, give you encouragement. And so what I do is I take feelings of power and confidence and I create, if you like, a psychological switch for that. And I get somebody to think of the thing that scares them, and yet I switch on the confidence simultaneously. And it wipes out the old feelings of fear and installs a new feeling of confidence. It's like overwriting the operating software of the brain.
Is this a secret for you? Is this something you've developed, or have you just taken bits of information and research over the years for hundreds of years and put that together? I mean, how have you done this?
I've taken the best from the best people and incorporated it into, to some extent, it's, you know, my own particular style. But I actually use a technology which is developed by, I think, the world's greatest living behavioral scientist, Dr. Richard Bandler. He created a technology called NLP. It stands for Neuro Linguistic Programming. And NLP is used by every government in the world, by every major corporation uses NLP, lots of educational institutions. NLP is everywhere. NLP, neuro-linguistic programming, neuro referring to brain, neurology, linguistic, obviously language, and programming, like a computer has programs, so does a human being. So in order to shake hands or write a letter, boil an egg, make £1 million, you have got to rely on the programs inside your body that enable you to do all the things that you do in your everyday life. And the way that you communicate with yourself and others is important in that whole setup. So basically, everything we do comes down to our neuro-linguistic programming. And I know it sounds highly technical, that term, but it's incredibly simple when you actually read it. Anyone who's read my book, Change Your Life in 7 Days, most of the principles in that book are you know, I've taken Richard's work and his NLP models, and I've made them, I think, simple, hopefully, and easy to understand. So, you know, it's my way of putting it, but essentially, I'm using a lot of Richard's work. Yeah.
Something that I'm curious to find out then: are you using hypnosis to resolve these problems, or is it another technique?
Well, I'm using both. I have some very simple, practical rules, you know, principles that anyone can follow them. They're so easy; a monkey could follow them. But in addition, to reinforce the new patterns of behavior, the new ways of thinking and acting in the world, I use hypnosis because it's proven to be the best psychological technique for behavioral change.